read it again so we better understand it. Since white people say we should move on from racism, I have found or discovered another way that I can still keep that discussion going, because I think it's still relevant, it's still important. There's no way we can move away from that. It's anchored, it's embedded, it's ingrained, it's within the structure of this country. There's no way we can move away from that. If we were to move away from racism, there's nothing else we can discuss that is in the best interest of blacks and African Americans. No way. Once that is omitted or alleviated, it defeats everything. Who does it benefits the most? If we start talking about racism, who benefits the most? I asked the question on my social media, who benefits the most? The white people, right? Because the essence of alleviating racism or not discussing racism, it makes them more comfortable. It makes them, well, not necessarily comfortable, but it puts them in a safe space. And it put us in a space where we try to figure out how can we be relevant, or how can we stand for what we're supposed to stand for. So when I see some of the greats that we call the greats, some of the greats like Elon Musk, who even stated that it's time to move away from racism, some of the great whites that we admire, that we call role models, the ones that we emulate and mimic, are saying let's move away from that. If we collectively say yes, let's move away from that. Let's move away from that. What is the essence of our history after that? What would be the essence of our history if we were to move away from racism and not discuss racism, but still see racism embedded and ingrained, but move away from that? Who benefits from that? Our generation don't benefit from that. If we move away from racism, our kids will not know the historical impact that exists here. They wouldn't know that. So it makes no sense for anyone who is not like us to say let's move on. Even if you look like us, to say let's move on from that, it doesn't make sense. And that's the reason why individuals like us and other well-savvy, knowledgeable, conscious blacks keep that alive, because that's the essence of it. But again, who are you to dictate to what needs to be embedded, stay, remains, omitted, alleviated? You are not the culture. You've never been the culture. And if racism makes you uncomfortable, then it means that that's the essence of why it's still relevant, because it makes others uncomfortable who should be uncomfortable, because that's how you make discussion more accurate and fluent to be discussed. If we were to alleviate that, it means that there will be no discussion between us and another race. So that's what makes it relevant. That's what makes it still relevant. Even as times evolved, it's still relevant. There is no way it can be alleviated, because it's still relevant in the times that we are in. And I'll always keep stressing that. And I'll find ways to still keep that alive. It doesn't matter what I'm on the bus, what I'm driving, what I'm going to work, what I'm sitting here. That's the objective, to keep it relevant, so the generation after us can keep it relevant. Change will never take its course. At a certain point it ends. Change is continuous. And if an event needs to be addressed continuously that hasn't been addressed, we keep it afloat. Now let's move on here. How do we keep that relevant, regardless of what the elites who are not like us saying, oh man, I think it's the racism stuff you guys bring all the time is not essential, it's not relevant. Time has evolved. People have changed. People have moved on. People's life is better off than what it was. Well, logically it makes sense. Subconsciously, it does make sense. That right there appeal to the minds of others to be like, yeah, I think we has evolved. But evolution doesn't determine history. Evolution does not affect history. It does not affect history. We can evolve in any other form. History is authentic. It stays. So we can evolve as individuals in our lifestyles, but our history will not evolve with us, because it's an event that's already occurred that we still use it as a foundation. That's why the evolution, that's where the evolution emerged from. So we keep that authenticity. We keep that authenticity as we evolve. So I would never sit down and sit down with anyone who's white and say racism is obsolete. It's never obsolete. The fact that I'm sitting next to a white individual, it was based on the foundation for which I'm sitting next to you. Or not only just sitting next to you. That's the essence of why you even acknowledge the fact that I'm a black man standing. So if I take that foundation that guarantees my security or my growth in every other aspect, who benefits? I don't benefit from that. And that's the reason why as a legitimate activist, we keep racism as a full focus. Full focus. I know it offends others who don't look like us, and that's okay. The truth always offends, and that's normal. You know what I mean? If I was like the other race who feel like certain things that we say offend them, I understand that. You know what I mean? We all got things that offend us in certain form as a race. I respect that. But it does not guarantee because it offends somebody else or another race means that we cannot discuss that. What offends you might be the reason for which I exist, or my substance based on. Now, let me move forward on this right here. I got a lot of respect for Elon Musk. A lot of respect for Elon Musk. I got a lot of respect for a lot of white elites. Certain things is out of discussion. Certain things cannot be brought up when it affects blacks to the core. Elon Musk cannot tell us, let's eradicate racism. It's not necessary. We're in a different space and place. It's not your space, bro. It's not your opinion. You got no opinion on that. You got no reasoning on that. You got no autonomous right to even say on that. That is not your space and place. But again, when he's surrounded with blacks who are sold out, that's the problem. When you hear white people saying, let's move on from this, they are sold out around blacks who are with them, who are brainwashed. Because a lot of blacks who are successful through the means of white influence will tell white people racism is obsolete. I don't understand why people still talking about race. We have moved on. Those are sellout around whites. Because there'll be no way the Malcolm, the King, the Garvey, the Mandela, including me, would never ever say racism is obsolete. Never. If we say it's obsolete, we are saying those who came before us are irrelevant. Their work is irrelevant. Their sacrifice is irrelevant. The fact they died for us is irrelevant because white people feel comfortable. You know what? Growth comes through uncomfortability. To actually be motivated every day like I do, you gotta be uncomfortable. That's why I love being uncomfortable, because being uncomfortable, it changes things in us for the good and for the bad. Now let me close on this note right here. I got a lot of respect for Elon Musk. I really do. But when you touch the black history, or when you say something in contrast to the black history, it is disrespectful. Let me say again. When you say something in contrast to the black history, it's disrespectful. And let me say, let eradicate the white history or the white negative influence in America. Or let me say again, let me readdress that. Let's eradicate the progress that white people made to their advantage and to our disadvantage. Imagine how many whites would think that what I said is disrespectful. Because it's their history. You cannot comfortize people's history when you are not within the history. You just can't. That's disrespectful. And I'm gonna say again, Elon Musk crossed the line. It's disrespectful. Look, I would never mention anything about any other race because I'll be very cautious of the fact of what I say. Because depending on what I say, it could be offensive, disrespectful, and demeaning, period. You gotta be very careful when it comes to black history and one of the most dedicated history that involve blood, sweat, and life on the line. It's not just infrastructure, IT, or AI. The black system, the black structure of history involve blood, sweat, and life. Those are things you cannot recommend, can't replace. So when you try to question something you cannot replace by people's life and death on the line, disrespectful. But again, we got blacks who are sold out around Elon Musk. Elon Musk is around about 5 elite blacks that I know. 5 elites who are rich and sold out. Because I would never be around Elon Musk that ever gave me the subconscious to say black history or racism that affects blacks is obsolete. Now let me say again one more time before I get to do what I gotta do. Elon Musk have no audacity to detect to black history. Nobody has the autonomous right to detect to black history. Never. That history is untouchable. It affects life, sweat, and blood. That history is generational. Our kids must know that. So Elon Musk says, let eradicate black history. To me and to others, even King, Malcolm in the grave will be upset on that. You don't have to write in this place of space. I love you and God bless. A black position in the word is the number one. I always say again, we're all blacks. That would never be you and me. I'm black, I'm saying it again. We're all blacks. That would never be the country I'm sitting on right now. Let's get that straight. We're all blacks. The Elon Musk would never be who he is today. In South Africa, all the wealth that he generates. South Africa is black base. Elon Musk's wealth is in South Africa. So let's be very smart here, man. Let's be very smart here. Don't let the money influence your thought process. Because it's easy for money to shift how you see yourself. But when you see yourself as a black man, as a black individual, money will never shift you. And if it doesn't shift you, folks will respect you. Respect surpasses money. Keep that in place. Black will always be black. Your boy SD, I love you. God bless. I love you, Mom. God bless you.